Hey yo, rollers, it's your boy J Malt. If you like original tabletop RPG adventures, join our Patreon for all original content like one-page dungeons, one-shot adventures, as well as original monsters, traps, and items. We create new stuff every month so that even if your DM isn't fully prepared, you can save the day. Check us out at patreon.com/Goblins Growlers. We should call them goons instead.
Let's not do that.
Hell yeah. What? Why not?
All right.
Call them goofs.
Goofs. Yo, look at these goofs over here. You seen these goofs?
Hey, what's going on with these
I'm
goofs?
goofing here.
This is Quid Pro Roll, a fantasy live play adventure where a party of unlikely heroes embark on a quest to bring dragons back to their world.
Well, howdy, listeners. Welcome to the Daily Crier Listening Show, where all the news and varying and beyond can make its way, well, right to you. Well, I just got back from a brief speaking engagement. That's right, listeners. I've decided to try my winter-worn hands on a springtime sojourn into academia. Right now, it's just a few lectures a month, and only the clicking cogs will tell of where this adventure may go. Speaking of speaking, the party finally has their direction. A plan of infiltration, along with help from Nell's red arrows. What better way to slip into the palace than under the guise of traveling performers and entertainers? Though before we can dig into that feast of fancy, the party rightfully offers their services to the Red Arrows in return. So off to chore, the gang splits up. Now let's see what Solinar and Koza are getting up to. And as always, y'all take care now.
Koza and Solinar, as the next day breaks, you get your gear on, you put yourselves together, and you head south towards the part of town that you remember coming in on. The area around you is somehow even kind of worse than the greater whole of Venturion. There are at least 2 or 3 people with their backs against the wall in every street, alleyway, road you take. There is this increasing smell of just despair and iron that settles in around the two of you. And there is this feeling of being watched, but not by guards. Their presence dwindles a little bit, but you can see shutters and curtains in the windows of homes slightly opening every time you pass by.
All right. We're still a little more conspicuous than I like, but you know what? I think that's going to be fine. I'm going to go ahead and put my big black cloak back on and get my hood up, because clearly that is the kind of environment we're in right now.
I guess I'll just kind of pull my hat down really low. Koza just tries to pull his hat down like as far on his head as he can.
He's like doing the thing that like some kids do with their beanies, where they just pull it so low and tight to their head that it is borderline balaclava-ing.
Kind of, yeah.
Just make sure you keep your visibility up. If it looks like you're having trouble seeing around you, people will take you as an easy mark. And then we're going to have to chase pickpockets. I don't want to have to chase pickpockets.
Oh, okay. Koza tries to get like as much in between, like too far down and not too far down as he can.
He's having to hit that middle point. As you travel through the city streets, There are a couple of things that you begin to notice. One is that there appear to be people sort of standing around corners that give the impression that they are waiting for clients. And you notice, Koza in particular, there seem to be a lot of people on the street that are begging for coins that seem to be directing a lot of their inquiries to you specifically.
Like they're coming up to try to beg to us?
To you specifically, yes.
To like, oh, okay.
You're kind of walking at such a pace that they're not really able to like get to you, but you notice that they keep trying to get your attention specifically.
As the folks insisting on asking for coin are getting a little more insistent, Solinar palms one of his daggers. Because it's definitely a not zero likelihood that someone does not take no for an answer.
As you do so, you notice that there seem to be more people coming up to you. Their faces and bodies mostly obscured by these ratty, like, cloak shawl things that they're wearing. You're not able to get a great sight of them, only that the clothes that they seem to be wearing are incredibly ragged and falling apart. But more and more swarm around the two of you, until you find yourself in a circle of people, unmoving and dense.
All right. Solinar is immediately, like, protecting his belongings, but then also trying to move close enough to Koza to protect his belongings as well.
You're both going to notice that the people that have been approaching you before have kind of peeled off, and the figures that are around you all now are bigger, more muscular, more than you would expect of somebody who's having trouble feeding themselves. There is something different about this space. Something very hostile.
Hey. Give a guy some breathing room, huh? Just trying to walk here.
One of the figures kind of comes up to you and has this voice that feels very put on for a moment. Where are you going, sir? Maybe I could get you there?
No, I don't. We don't need any guides. We don't need anybody leading us anywhere.
Please, sir, where are you going?
No, whose business is it? Why do you need to know?
There are some places, sir, that you shouldn't go.
Well, I'm not looking to very well dine with the Emperor, am I?
There are some places that strangers shouldn't go. You should turn around. Now.
Okay. I get it. I can take a hint. And Solinar kind of like motions to Koza, like, we should go back that way.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we definitely don't want to go anywhere we're not supposed to go.
Not trying to step on toes, just trying to get where I'm going.
As you say that and turn around, you notice that the group has dispersed enough to give you a direct shot back the way you came down the road. But they're all still standing there, watching you. The pretense of begging is gone. You can see a couple of hidden weapons on their person and glimpses of leather armor.
Yep. Not looking for trouble. We can find a different route to where we were headed.
Or, we might not even need to go wherever we're going if that was a problem. Right?
As we get like a block or so away, Solinar's gonna like nudge Koza and take a turn down the next like street. All right, So I have a strong feeling we were close to what we were after, because those were some of the best armed beggars I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think maybe they weren't beggars. I feel like they may have been employed.
Yeah, I also kind of get that impression. Be nice to know employed by who. Like, I wish I knew where they were doing their recruiting. We could try and get like, oh, like we're new to town, we're looking for a job, but it's probably not that sort of deal.
Oh, no.
So we're just gonna have to get stealthier with our approach. And with that, Solinar turns to the nearest alley and then looks for ways up. Specifically, a way that he thinks Koza can follow, because he can't do his usual second story man work, where he's just like vaulting from thing to thing and swinging his body up and things like that, because unless Koza's gonna go ferret form and ride in his hood, that's not gonna work.
Koza's fairly nimble, isn't he? Like, what's Koza's dex?
It's 14, so +5 acrobatics.
That's not terrible.
It's not awful.
Like,
but,
he's not gonna backflip from the ground up 3 stories, but like, that's at least like amateur parkour video on YouTube.
Right. I'm not saying Solinar's looking for a staircase or a ladder that leads to the roof. I'm saying he's looking for a route that's a little bit easier than what he might challenge himself to try.
Imagine if somebody walked up to you on the street and was like, "Oh, your build, you look pretty acrobatic. You look amateur parkour YouTuber."
I feel like I'd be.
That got so big after Mirror's Edge came out.
Flattered or insulted. I don't know.
That's what I wanted to know. How would you approach that?
I'd honestly be very flattered.
Yeah.
They all tend to be very like they tend to all be like very slender but like pretty well muscled. Mm-hmm. Because if you're getting into parkour even as an amateur, you don't go from like I don't exercise regularly to parkour. Like a lot of times it's somebody who's exercised so much that they're like, I'm getting bored. What if I ran up a wall?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you're already really fit.
I think you're right. I think parkour was just a bunch of bored gym people.
Yeah,
They're like, when CrossFit just doesn't do it for you.
Yeah, like, parkour existed for people who, like, could do CrossFit, but didn't want to do CrossFit because it was, like, too constricting and mainstream, and instead decided they wanted to vault over dumpsters.
That makes sense. The only person who I know who was into parkour was vaguely satanic. So I wonder if he was like CrossFit, more like upside down CrossFit, and then he just started jumping off of pipes.
I'm sorry, the more like upside down CrossFit for some reason got me.
I know, I could see it happening real time.
Oh my god. So you're going to duck into a back alley and you see nobody. The alley's kind of noticeably narrow and seems to be more like a space between buildings where people throw refuse more than an actual channel between roads.
Koza, how good are you at wall splitting?
Well, I guess I could give it a shot.
And Solinar just like hands against each wall and then like feet against the wall and just sort of starts like frog climbing his way up.
Solinar frog climbing up is like my sleep paralysis demon. The image I have in my head is so terrifying with how it is moving. All right, roll acrobatics or athletics.
It's a 29.
You want to...
Solinar starts at a frog climb just as like an example of frog climbing, and then is like, honestly, it's just faster if I... And he does... It's just kind of amazing. I'm having trouble describing it, but basically what he does...
What my character does is so cool. I'm having so much trouble describing it to you guys right now, but it's like super awesome.
So, sorry, I'm having flashbacks to running a booth at a con.
I'm gonna have to get a video of it for y'all because it's freaking amazing to watch. But what you can do if you are a particularly adept person at climbing things in a narrow enough space is you can position yourself so that you bounce off of the wall and then onto the other wall, like a wall kick. Doing it in real life looks radically different from doing it in a Super Mario game, as you might expect. But mechanically, it's pretty similar. And basically, he just like is wall kicking back and forth until he gets to the top, at which point he fully swings his body up and over and onto the roof.
Does he go Yahoo while he does it?
He literally just said that it's significantly different than the Wahoo. That's what he said almost verbatim.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you don't say Wahoo. That sounds very fun.
That's exactly what it means.
You can't say Wahoo if you're trying to be stealthy. It's not an option that is available to you.
You just whisper it.
Yahoo!
Yeah, Wahoo to yourself.
Wahoo.
And then you get to the top and you go, damn, the princess is in another castle.
Like in Solinar's mind, you just hear, I'm so cool right now.
Yeah, I'm so cool that I couldn't even describe what I'm doing. I'd have to show you a video.
I'd have to get a like amateur parkour video off of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Koza, let's see how you're getting up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try doing the, what did you call it? Like the frog, ball frog thing?
The frog climb.
Frog climb.
I'm going to be real clear about something. If people know things about actual parkour, they're going to be like, that's not what you call that. That's not what you call that other thing either. In fact, none of these names are right because I don't actually know the names for these things. I'm just calling them things that make sense to me.
I think it's called the Frog Stomp. Ooh. And it was an album by Silverchair that was released in like, I don't know, 96.
QPR, where the references get more and more and more obscure until this show is only for one person.
Yeah, and that one person knows that, a lot of people know that Silverchair's one hit is Tomorrow, and they hit that one part in that bridge where he's like, you gonna wait till fat boy, wait till tomorrow. And the whole time you're like, what the hell is this person singing about? And then you find out that all the people in that band, when they wrote that song, were 16. And you're like, oh, they were just kids. They're just kids living in Australia. They were at the beach in December, Alex.
Yep. That's where they were.
Yeah. Frog stomping, which means they were climbing the walls.
So Koza.
19.
All right. So that's definitely going to get you up. So you're going to prop your hands and feet against the wall and start kind of hopping and gripping, getting yourself up pretty dexterously in a way that surprises even you. Mm-hmm. There's sort of a moment where like you think about being a little noble boy growing up and being like, man, this journey's really like, you got some like arm definition now. The two of you stand on the top of a dirty 3-story building, and as you look across the parts of Venturian you can see, you're not very high up, but the entire city looks different from here. Instead of twisting alleyways and crowded streets, it's this open expanse of space. And as you look across, you kind of see all of these sort of embellishments, leading you to believe that this area wasn't always run down. This used to be a very beautiful area that was just sort of left to rot. But you can see like weathered stone statues and embellishments and really pretty elements on the columns that hold up the buildings. They're just rotted. They're old. They're worn down, weathered by neglect and the elements. There's sort of a tragedy looking out at this city from where you stand.
Solinar takes a deep inhale and it's like, now this is where you see what a city's really made of. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. We travel across the roofs until we get close, because there's probably going to be rooftop guards too.
Oh, okay.
Then we see if we can find something that seems either close or connected, ideally connected. And then we drop down into that building, and then we travel between buildings.
Okay. Okay, I think as long as we get far enough past the beggars who aren't beggars, I guess it'll be okay.
Well, that's my whole idea, is that ideally, they won't even see us coming. We'll be in without them having any clue we're there.
Okay.
This may involve jumping from one window to another window across an alleyway, just so you're aware. I do have rope if a gap looks too big.
We'll have to just see what we run into.
Yeah. We got this. We can do this.
From where
Believe in us.
From where we are we able to kind of maybe see a route that might be a little bit better? Like in terms of gaps between buildings?
You're going to see places that the buildings are going to be closer together, or that they're going to be buildings that go from tall to short in a way that would be easier to hop between. Overall, it's not like a straight shot or anything, but it doesn't look, with the knowledge that you are going to be mirrors edging your way across, it doesn't look too complex for that.
Hell yeah.
You're going to travel across this. You're going to travel across the rooftops, and I'm going to need Solinar. I want you to roll a dexterity saving throw.
All right. The 21.
So the two of you are going to not be like sprinting, but you're definitely going to be going at a pretty decent clip, trying to get from building to building. At one hand, Solinar, you leap, reaching for one of the stone statues to grab onto, and as your hand closes around its head, it crumbles underneath your hand. You end up, like, falling for a moment before reaching up and grabbing the ledge with your fingertips. Koza is able to clear it and is now on the other side, but you're sort of dangling there with the bits of rock and dust falling around you from the broken statue.
Do you
There's
pass
just
the
that-
dangle test?
Solinar would not pass the dangle test.
No, he would not. There's just that brief moment where, like, the statue crumbles and Solinar realizes that what he's holding on to is air, and he's just like, oh, shit. And then, like, he grabs onto, like, the ledge to hold himself in place, and he's like, okay.
Koza, you witness this.
All right. Okay, so I have to do the same thing now?
No, I ideally don't do the same thing. In fact, do a different thing than what I tried to do.
Is there another ledge I can grab onto? Does it look like?
There are other statues you
Okay.
could theoretically grab onto.
Solinar, can you check that statue, the one right there?
Can Solinar scramble his way up?
Yeah.
Or is he like dangling by fingertips?
You're able to pull yourself up by your arms.
Okay. Solinar gets himself up on the roof, takes a moment to just like breathe because he needs that. And then he goes over and he kind of like puts a hand on one of the statues and then just like rattles it a little bit. He's not trying to see if it'll like, he's not trying to crumble it if it would crumble, but he's trying to see if it's likely to crumble.
It seems sturdy and solid, not falling apart like the one you grabbed.
Okay, this one should be good.
Is this acrobatics again?
Yes.
And Solinar will sit tight in that spot in case Koza biffs in.
That's a 7.
Roll a
hey.
dexterity saving throw for me, buddy.
That's a 14.
Okay. So you're going to fall. Your fingertips graze the face of the statue, long worn away by the sands of time. and you're just going to plummet. You're going to get about a floor or so down before you're able to grab onto an open windowsill and pull yourself up before absolutely pancaking on the ground beneath you.
Oh, jeez. Oh no. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. I guess on to the next one.
The window that you have grabbed onto and pulled yourself on opens to a room that seems empty and dusty. The light is filtering in through these really dirty windows, and you can see the motes dancing around in the light.
Solinar takes a quick look around. Like, how close are we to the building near where we got accosted by all the dudes?
You're probably about there at this point, but the implication you got was that where you're searching is a little bit past there.
Right. But I guess my thought was, if they were to post rooftop guards, in Solinar's mind, would we be already in that area?
You're starting to get there, if not there already.
Okay, so what, instead of dropping something down for Koza to come up, Solinar is going to just clamber down and then into that window himself.
You're just climbing down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
you
climbing down
have
from the
enough
roof
dexterity
into the window.
that unless I'm not worried about.
Okay, so Solinar clambers down. Spider-Man crouches on the windowsill, looks at Koza for a moment, and then clambers into the room and is like, "You good? That was quite a moment that we had there. Both of us trying to cross to this roof."
Is it still our best plan?
Yeah, I think instead of jumping from rooftop to rooftop, maybe we see what we can do as far as crossing at this level, at this point.
Okay.
You're going to travel on, and instead of jumping from rooftop to rooftop, you open up the windows to a balcony and look out. You notice that there is another balcony on a not far away building, one that's probably within a significant leaping distance, that is also open. However, the lights are on.
Solinar puts a hand up as a sort of like hold, and then goes out onto the balcony, hangs off the railing, and then turns and jumps to the other balcony, trying to be as quiet but as like agile as possible.
As you land on the balcony, a part of you thinks you might have made a mistake, because within the building overall, you can hear a chorus of rowdy voices and laughter, the clanking of glasses. You think you found a bar.
Solinar kind of like tilts his head and then turns to Koza and shrugs, and then makes a hand motion like raising a mug and swinging it in song and then drinking from it.
Okay, so from Koza's perspective, you have gone onto a balcony. Tiger leapt onto another balcony and then turned and did like this kind of like this like Irish drinking song from the Whose Line Is It Anyway bit, and then like fake drank.
Yeah, except you missed the part where Solinar is like head tilting while listening to what's inside the window.
Solinar, I don't think that's the time. I think we should try to keep moving. I don't know if it's the time for that right now.
Solinar just kind of like waves a like flat hand at his neck, like cutting it, and then shakes his head for a moment, and then hooks a thumb at the window and like shrugs.
I should just get over there. And Koza's gonna try to clamber over there.
seeing Koza get ready to clear the gap, Solinar's going to move to the edge to catch him if he trips again.
23.
Biff check.
Yeah. Koza sails over Solinar.
That song plays where it goes, sail!
Yeah, and then he does like this like kind of like sliding land that looks way cooler than what Solinar did.
We can pull up a video and show it to you if you're having trouble.
Yeah.
That's so
Solinar-
helpful on this audio medium that we do.
Look, I post these things to the Discord when these episodes come out. I don't know if y'all read
There are people
the
who listen to
Discord
this
chats.
show that aren't on our Discord, man.
What? Well, how?
Well, they could
how
fix that by going to bit.ly/goblin discord.
I was gonna say, how could they fix that?
Shameless plug.
There should be no shame in that plug. So Solinar's like half leaned out over the railing of the balcony, like one arm out just in case, and then Koza like whips over him, and he sort of like for a moment is just confused, and then turns, sees that Koza is in this like beautiful slide landing, and just does like a silent like golf clap. nodding approval.
Koza gives a little bow.
Ta-da!
Solinar hooks his thumb at the window again to indicate the sounds that are coming from it, so that Koza can listen.
Yeah, Koza gives a listen.
So you're going to hear the loud raucous sounds of not just like a bar, but a very active bar where everybody's already kind of hammered and does not care about noise ordinance. It sounds very rough. At a certain point, you think you hear what sounds like a stool being thrown and exploding on a wall.
Oh, it sounds like maybe they might be kind of busy down there.
Koza, I don't think this is actually a bar.
Koza's very worried about it being understaffed.
I think this is like where the guys that accosted us, I think this is where they go to hang out when they're not on shift.
Oh, okay, so we probably shouldn't go downstairs then.
Maybe, but I don't know, because like, it's a casual enough space that anybody in there is supposed to be in there. I think.
Okay, so we need to worry about it though, or can we just go around it?
It'd be a lot easier to move around if they just thought we were part of their group. So my thought was, maybe I lose the cloak, you lose the hat, and we go down there and we just act like we're new hires, and then we try and get some of those like raggedy cloak outfit things that they were wearing, and then use those to get where we're actually going.
Solinar, Koza, you two are going to hear at like amidst the ruckus, amidst the sound of that stool being thrown and exploding, two loud, gruff voices are sort of raising above the overall din, and you're able to make out a little bit about what they're saying.
No, despite the fact that living under a monarchy takes away our personal rights, think about the tax revenue that's brought in from like coming to see all the, the things related to the history of the monarchy.
Look, and I couldn't agree with you more on monarchy good, and which is why I think you're drawing the line too short. We should have two monarchies.
Two monarchies
at the same time.
Oh, so we should split the Boris Empire into the Eastern Empire and the Western Empire.
Double the kings, double the queens.
Yeah. And then we'll have like a senior king and a junior king for each one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you and I were playing that game right now called Big Jack, Little Jack. It's like that. It's the same thing with this card game.
Okay, all right.
Respectfully, did you guys miss me saying argument?
Yeah.
Oh, and I hate you.
Yeah. You smell.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm a beggar in disguise. You smell good, which isn't even doing your job well. You bad at your job. Tough. You loon. You loonigan.
We'll see if I ever play Big Jack, Little Jack with you again.
Oh, you see.
You're
if
not
I
a Jack.
care.
You're a jerk.
Oh my god. Oh,
Big
this
jerk,
guy.
little jerk. They're both you.
Oh my. I'm an average sized jerk. Are we averaging it, or are we stacking it like a huge jerk?
Oh, it stacks. It
Oh,
stacks. It's
God
definitely a
damn it.
stacking debuff.
Oh, I hate this. I can't believe you've done this to me.
Yeah, that's
You
what
just
you get.
jerkified me in front of all of my friends.
That's what you get. Go back to your 2 kingdom monarchy.
Oh, now you're bringing this up like it's not a good idea. Look, what if you got something? What's better than that?
Yeah.
Double the tooth things.
Let me have my ad hominem. I don't like you, so your idea is bad.
Oh, and now just because you can read, fancy words, you're gonna use that against me like a sword.
I know a few. I know a few. I
Into
know.
my heart.
There's a fancier word for a sword is a rapier, and I just poked you with one.
Oh, you knew that piercing's the one way to get to my heart.
What you don't know is that they broke up 3 months ago and are trying desperately to remain friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's tough.
Look, you're so much of a jerk that I've forgotten your name. Why don't you give it to me again?
My name is Barnabas, and you know that.
Oh, did you say Bartimus or Artemis?
I said Barnabas.
Oh,
Stop screwing with me. You know what my name is.
yeah, but sometimes you need to get taken down a peg, Mr. Can Read.
No, my name's Barnabas, not Can Read.
Oh, Barnabas. More like you bring me a can opener so I can learn how to read too. It's a goal of mine.
You are hearing this happen.
Yeah, these are definitely the guys that are guarding the streets. So all we have to do is get down there, grab a couple of not currently being worn get-ups, and then we can move freely to where we're going. It's a cinch. It's gonna be so easy.
I don't know. I feel like somebody would notice us.
Would they? Would they notice us? A couple of guys who just came in from a smoke break on the roof, who are just looking to get back out on patrol because they're late for their shift, and it's been like 3 times now that they've gotten written up, and this is the last time. If they get written up again, they're gonna lose their jobs, and then they're not gonna be able to send money back to their homes for their sick grandmas. Does that seem so outlandish to you?
Hey, beer boys over there in the corner. 2 beers. I know you've been smoke breaking on the roof. Bring some beers over for me and Barnabas.
Don't walk away from me. Don't walk away from me when we're talking.
Look, I'm walking back when I got beers so I can actually deal with you. Dealing with you without a beer in my hand is like trying to write when you don't know how.
Ah.
As if divine intervention, your opening has been shown.
Quid Pro Roll is a co-production of Alpha Comics and Games with Goblins and Growlers. Our audio production and all original music composition is provided by Gabriel Perez. He can be found at Amethyst Audiomancer on Instagram. The voice of Alita and our DM for the podcast is Alex Smith. She can be found at Alpha Comic Games on Twitter. The voice of Charles Gravy Boat Barnes is Brandon Dingus. He can be found at Way of Brandalore on Twitter. The voice of Eek and Koza are Chapman Adams. He can be found at What Are Birds on Instagram. The voice of Johannes is Alan. He can be found at The Dungeon Meowster on Instagram. And finally, the voice of Solinar is me, Josh Maltby, and I can be found at Black Cloak DM on Twitter. Thanks so much for listening.
My power flickered for a second and it sounded like you said Bolinar takes a deep inhale. And I'm sorry I interrupted, but I had to tell you all that because it's awesome.
I'm just imagining Koza's bowl with a little black cloak, trying desperately to pick up a little dagger.
Oh man, that's not what I was picturing at all. I was picturing Solinar as just the biggest pothead imaginable, taking a huge bong rip and then being like, now this is what a city looks like.
Look at this majestic city. And all you gotta do is frog stomp a bowl to get here.